Welcome to our TV. Today, in this lesson, we will talk about what were the villages we discussed earlier and what are the kinds of tasks that villages do. How do they produce food? How do they do carpentry, pot making, leather technology, and various weaving of cloths and various, and then even cooking within the village or small hamlet environment. A mother cooking by setting up a small kitchen itself is a home industry which converts grain into food. That's what we learned earlier. Now, as I said, villages were formed in order to produce collectively more and more food from the soil, collectively to make life better, collectively to interact with one another, collectively to have human marriages. Because marriage system came quite some time back. One woman, one man getting married, and they in a family procreating children, giving birth to children, children growing up. But the caste system that India unfortunately developed destroyed our positive marriage system. In India, marriages take place only within the caste, even in villages. Now that has stopped the growth of our body and brain, because Indian brain did not develop as much as it could have developed if we were to avoid marriages within the caste. But marriages take place, families live together, and the villages were formed with elders, children, and people gradually become old. The old people keep giving advices, even though they cannot physically work. Now, how did these cities develop? Because a city is several times bigger than a village. And a city will have more facilities than the villages. Cities have more institutions than the villages. Now, does it mean that city life is better than village life? Does it mean that all people should live only in cities and there should not be villages at all? No, that may not happen in human history, because humans evolved through various stages. First, human beings were like, monkeys and chimpanzees. Many have not seen what is a chimpanzee, but chimpanzee is exactly like a human being with a lot of hair and walking on only two legs, like a different animal. But they look similar to monkeys that many of us know in our villages or in our towns. So scientifically it is said that human being evolved gradually out of monkey's life. As monkey was interacting with nature and working with different, both hands and legs, gradually that took into a transformation. A chimpanzee emerged. Chimpanzee behaves like exactly human beings. And then from there, what we are today, we evolved. Now, there is another theory that human beings were created by God, straight away from God's imagination. Now, this is one theory. Now, how God created, what are the stages of creation of God, how the knowledge emerged. So, as I said, there are three kinds of gods. One, many believe in the world that there is one God, to create and destroy or to oversee all human beings thereout. And as I said, in Indian villages, the way production was happening, villages were forming, the most useful human beings, the most powerful human beings who looked after cattle, who did things that many people could not do, or the people who cured diseases, or the people who built tank bund, or the people who applied plant medicines, they became gods and goddesses. So third, there are figures that were brought from the books as gods and goddesses. So these are various stories of human evolution and knowledge and systems, and we see them in the villages today. But once a village transformed into a city, or in between a town, how did it change? The central thing that transformed or changed a village into a town is expansion of knowledge and expansion of production. Those of you who are in the village, take your children to a nearby town and show them what exactly exists within the towns also. The towns are bigger villages with all those things that exist in the village. Towns will have to have grains to cook. Towns will have to have cattle to, give milk or do agriculture work. Though agriculture appears to be distant from the place the town people live. In the villages, agriculture is all around yourself. But in town, several children don't even see what is tilling, what are cattle, what are buffaloes, what are cows, what are bulls. They perhaps do not see for a long time in life unless they are shown. But in my view, towns and bigger cities are bringing up their children by disconnecting with nature, because nature is essentially around the villages, in the forests, in the animal living areas, birds, streams, rivers, tanks. So that is what the source of our life. Every child, even in the city, a city like Hyderabad, where I live, or Bombay, Calcutta, Delhi, or New York, or London, whatever that city could be, cities are not well connected with the larger nature that actually made human being what we are. Whereas the villages are really well connected. So when a village people, village folks, what we call groups, men and women working together with their hands and applying their brain, their intellectual power, converting grain into various kinds of things that become useful again, or converting soil into pot, iron into instruments, leather into bags, and so on. They expand the production levels. As the production increases, what we call the surplus increases. Now, what is surplus? Suppose in a house, there are two adult people working and there are two children. The mother and father are working. If the mother and father are tilling an acre land and bringing that grain home, if that acre land grain is enough only for the children to eat and the two adults to eat, then they cannot be anything more to sell. Now, when they apply more knowledge on the land, make that land produce more, double or triple what they were producing earlier by using fertilizer or by using technology, and then or add one more acre, then half of the produce they eat, they spend for their family needs, the remaining of they use it as surplus. What do? They sell that grain and bring money home. And that money becomes a major asset to buy things that they don't have. Now, when they want to buy things that they don't have, suppose they want to buy, let us say, clothes. There are already weavers in the village. They are weaving clothes of a particular type. But if they wanted more sophisticated or better clothes, if they don't get in their village, they will search for such clothes outside. Now, when several village people keep on making clothes, some produce far better clothes than the other. Now, they begin to sell from their own village to other villages. Now, after lot of production in different villages happens, more pot, more iron tools, more leather tools, and more milk, more grains are produced by several villages. Then what happens? These villages, some of them have leisure time. They begin to gather at a third place. Now this third place begin to acquire a new character. They don't produce, but they collect from different villages, start selling there, building houses there, and they become what is known as the business people. They don't produce, but they bring things from different villages and then start selling from a common place where several villages around that common place do exist. And gradually that place becomes more interactive place. There more shops come, more houses get built, and there, if there is a school in the village, there will be a better school there, or gradually a college there will come. And that's how the towns get formed in the rural sector itself. Once towns are formed, the people begin to realize that there is a different life in the town where you can get more things than what you cannot get in the village. And gradually the town starts small production center called industry. So towns become a collective production centers called industrial production centers, sales markets, and better facility centers, and more number of people gathering there from different village locations. That's how towns emerge. Later on, cities from there. Thank you very much. This is our 8th lesson, and then after this we will go to the ninth lesson, how our villagers should now really change their life even while living in village, if they can't migrate to cities, or if they migrate to cities, how to change themselves and speaking only in English across the country, how their life changes. Thank you.